Welcome. If Rep Luna, Donald Trump, RFK, and the coming administration, including the recently appointed Kash Patel as FBI director, would like to make the best out of the next 6 months, they should follow this guide. I put the work in for them, and their final report should look something like this. Hopefully, hopefully a little bit more polished up. So let's get right to it. I'll start with a quote. In wartime, truth is so precious that she should always be attended by a bodyguard of lies. And that's what I'm really worried about, is that, like, every time they come out and say they're going to tell the truth, they just spin more lies to protect the truth. I hope that doesn't happen. We're going to start with, of course, the first thing on the menu, the JFK assassination, the Warren report, which is headed by Alan Dulles. That's the official report on the assassination of President Kennedy. It's 85 to 90% based on one woman's testimony, who we'll get into in a second. That woman is still alive, by the way, which may lead to an arrest. It's the only person that's still alive in the whole Kennedy case. She was very young when this all happened, but she's the only person alive, and most of the Warren report is written based on her testimony. And we'll get into that person in just a second. But Nick Begich and Hale Boggs Nick Begich Sr. died in a plane crash. That their plane completely vanished in Alaska. And someone reported to the FBI that it had been blown up with a bomb on the plane, and that the bomb had blown up. So, like, they never found the wreckage. It went missing in 1972. And Hale Boggs was basically starting to question the conclusions of the Warren Commission, and started to think that, maybe the findings were inadequate. And I'd be interested if that's happened with other members of commissions on things like this. Of course, the skeptics, Vincent Bugliosi's dead. If he'd be having a fit right now with all the stuff that's come out since on him. Gerald Posner seems to be having a fit on his own too, with insisting that the single bullet theory explains that we don't need two shooters, even though Luna mentioned that there were two shooters. She thinks now, well, this is because the whole history of what we were told, this lone nut, Lee Harvey Oswald, posing with this rifle and communist literature, that he had, defected to Russia, not gotten accepted, and came back and was, basically a loner, and was pissed off at Kennedy, and that he acted alone and shot the president. Although what we found out from the research, it just doesn't add up. See, when he came back from Russia, he didn't go right back to Dallas. He went back to New Orleans, and he was working and had an office.
There's nothing in the mailbox.
Well, yeah, sorry. We're having technical difficulties here. I'm sorry about that. Um, Anyways, it turns out that Oswald got his start in the CIA through the Civil Air Patrol, which was at the time run by David Ferry. David Ferry is connected with this 544 Camp Street office, where Oswald was handing out communist literature. Actually, no, it was the Fair Play for Cuba committee flyers. It was anti-Cuba, and then pro-Castro and anti-Castro literature. One or the other. He seemed to play both sides while he was living in New Orleans. Definitely some weird CIA activity going on still there. he moves to Dallas and goes and moves in with this one woman who's, the woman that's still alive that I mentioned before. LBJ and these Dallas oil men, of course, there's this meeting the night before the assassination at Clint Murchison's house. Of course, Guy Bannister and the X-Files. All right. So I'm going to have to stop the stream and start it again in 20 minutes. I'm just going to restart it over because somebody just stole something out of the front of my house, and I have to go check my cameras because I have to call the police now. All right. I got to go.